Welcome to The Explainer. Listen, if you've ever gotten into bed fully exhausted, only to find your brain is suddenly wide awake, racing through a million thoughts and keeping you up for hours, well, you are exactly in the right place. Today we're going to fix those frustrating late-night struggles. We're going to completely transform how you rest so that you can wake up every single morning feeling absolutely alive and full of beans. It's a completely relatable scenario, right? You get into bed, the lights go out, and suddenly your monkey brain takes over. It decides that right now, right at midnight, is the absolute perfect time to replay every embarrassing moment from your entire life. So instead of sleeping, you're just stuck. You're either lying there awake, trapped with these anxious thoughts, or, let's be honest, you resort to watching 510-second videos, holding your phone like 3 inches from your face for the next 2 hours. It's just an exhausting cycle. If this sounds like you might actually feel like you're just naturally a terrible sleeper. You might think you're what we'd call a level 0 sleeper, basically assuming that being completely cooked at night is just some permanent flaw in your biology. But here is the great news, and I really want you to hear this. This is purely a skill issue. It is not a permanent flaw, it's highly fixable, and by the end of this explainer, you are going to have the exact tools you need to level up your sleep skills today. Okay, let's dive into this. We have a really clear 5-step roadmap today. 1. Master your internal clock. 2. Drop your core temperature. 3. Defeat the scrolling habit. 4. Manage melatonin and caffeine. And 5. The ultimate sleep routine. Starting right off with step 1, mastering your internal clock to take back your body's rhythm. You see, your body has this built-in feature called a circadian rhythm, and to actually master it, you need to understand that it runs on one primary input: light. What's really fascinating here is the biology. Deep inside your brain, there's this tiny area called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. I know, fancy word, but just think of it as the master control center for your internal clock. It receives light signals directly from your eyes, and based entirely on those light signals, it dictates to your body when it's time to wake up and when it's time to wind down and sleep. If this rhythm gets out of whack, it totally tanks your energy, messes with your memory, and throws your hormones out of balance. Simply put, if your clock is broken, you are never going to sleep well. So, how do we actually fix it? Well, it all comes down to consistency. You've got to start going to bed and waking up at the exact same time every single day. No weekends off. But the most absolutely crucial anchor for this whole system is getting actual sunlight in the morning. That morning light is literally what hits the start button on your internal timer. Make your sleep time, your wake time, and your morning sun daily, non-negotiable habits. And hey, use a habit tracking app to hold yourself accountable. It really helps. Moving to step 2, drop your core temperature and cool down to sleep. We've got to talk about your environment because a bedroom that is way too hot is the ultimate enemy of a peaceful monkey brain. So the crucial point is your core body temperature actually needs to drop by exactly 1 degree Celsius for you to fall asleep. This specific physical temperature drop is the biological trigger that literally tells your brain it's time for night-night. Without that exact 1 degree drop, your monkey brain is just going to stay wide awake no matter how physically exhausted you might feel. A room that's too hot acts like an oven. It traps heat and keeps your core temperature elevated. We need to counter this with some quick cooling tricks. Now, you don't necessarily need a super fancy air conditioning system. You can just keep a window cracked, use way fewer blankets when you get into bed, or try the absolute classic trick. Simply stick your hands and your feet out from under the duvet to let that excess heat escape. Now, this brings us to a really surprising biological trick, what we call the hot shower paradox. You'd probably think a hot shower right before bed would warm you up and keep you awake, right? Actually, it's the exact opposite. Taking a hot bath or shower pulls your blood out to the surface of your skin. So the minute you step out of the shower into a cooler room, all that heat dissipates rapidly. This plunges your core temperature super fast, artificially creating that crucial 1 degree drop we desperately need for sleep. All right, step 3, defeat the scrolling habit. Honestly, this is where we face the hardest boss in the game. If you feel like you literally can't sleep without scrolling right now, you are actively participating in by far the most destructive habit for your sleep. It obliterates your melatonin levels with blue light and keeps you mentally wired for hours. But here is the hard truth we have to accept. Quitting cold turkey, it just won't work. If you simply declare to yourself, I'm just not going to look at my phone tonight, you'll probably just lie there in the dark, get super frustrated, and start scrolling again anyway. You need a strategy. You have to replace the habit by gradually stepping down your dopamine. Let's move to and see how this builds into a brilliant dopamine step-down strategy. Step 1 is where you probably are now, those highly stimulating short-form TikToks or Reels. To step down, replace that with Step 2, longer YouTube videos. Now, the blue light is still an issue, sure, but there's no active scrolling, which means significantly less dopamine, helping you transition. Then, move to Step 3, watching a movie, even less dopamine. Finally, you graduate to Step 4, audiobooks or podcasts. With this, there is absolutely zero blue light. You just close your eyes, get lost in a story, and before you know it, you're asleep. But to actually enforce this step down, you need to set up the ultimate block. Go into your phone settings, find the screen time menu, and set up the downtime feature to kick in right before bedtime. Specifically block those high dopamine traps like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And here is the absolute genius part. Get a friend to set the screen time password. If you literally don't know the password, you can't cheat when your monkey brain inevitably craves that late-night scrolling session. Moving right along to Step 4, manage chemicals. Specifically, we're talking about mastering your melatonin and caffeine intake. This is all about taking direct, intentional control of the chemical side of sleep. Think about it like this. A bad melatonin routine is basically surrounding yourself with harsh blue light from your laptop and phone screen right up until the second you close your eyes. In stark contrast, a good routine, one that actually signals to your body that it's time to rest, involves stepping far away from screens. Instead, use your evening wind-down time to make some decaf tea, tidy up your room a bit, maybe do some journaling, take that hot shower we talked about, and then just lie in bed listening to a good audiobook. The reason this good routine works is just straightforward biology. Darkness is the key trigger for the release of melatonin, the hormone that formally tells your brain, hey, it is bedtime. Because blue light from screens is literally the absolute worst thing for melatonin production, you absolutely must start dimming the lights in your environment exactly 1 hour before your target bedtime. Finally, Step 5, the ultimate sleep routine. Let's put this whole shebang together. Now, to be crystal clear, this might not be the ultra-optimized, perfect Andrew Huberman routine you hear about on the internet, but this is exactly the practical, highly actionable routine that the modern monkey brain actually needs to stop lying awake for hours. Let's map out what a literal, perfect day of sleep looks like. Surprisingly, it actually starts in the afternoon. At exactly 2 p.m., you have a strict caffeine cutoff. Coffee and tea hang around in your system for a really long time, so anything after 2 p.m. is going to make it incredibly hard to wind down. Then, exactly 1 hour before bed, you dim the lights and kill the screens. At your target bedtime, you go to sleep at the exact same time every single night. And finally, the next morning, you get up and get that natural sunlight to anchor the whole system for the next day. So let's quickly summarize the 5 leveled-up habits you now have in your toolkit. Number 1, keep a consistent clock and get that morning sun. Number 2, keep cool. Stick your feet out and take a hot shower to drop your core temp by 1 degree. Number 3, strategically step down your scrolling dopamine from short videos all the way down to audio. Number 4, dim those lights 1 hour before bed. And number 5, absolutely no caffeine after 2 p.m. I promise you, if you build this routine and actually stick to it, you are going to wake up in a few weeks and think, damn, this feels amazing. So, I want to leave you with this final thought. You are officially no longer a level 0 sleeper. You now possess the exact biological and behavioral toolkit to completely crush this skill issue. The only question left is, which of these habits will you choose to level up tonight? Just pick one, take back your rest, and watch how it completely transforms your entire day. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. And hey, here's to waking up full of beans tomorrow.